Imperium Insider Game Night Edition, take one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Imperium Insider. I am still Juntao. They haven't kicked me out just yet. Eventually, one day, the smile will droop from Astia's face, and he will no longer think I'm fucking funny, and he'll be like, Psh, you gotta go. But until then, this is me, this guy right here. And today, I am joined by one, only, no other like Astia.
Hello.
The Maple Leaf himself. He's the man. What do you do, Astia?
Like in general?
Yeah, just in general.
Or like here?
I know you were like
an Imperium?
Yeah, nobody cares about what you do in your real life.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. What do I do here? Pretty much everything. Like all kinds of stuff.
I mean,
he delegates a lot.
I got my fingers in a lot of pies.
Ooh. Okay. Now I'm just going to leave it at that then. And then on the Overwatch board, we have Doopsums from a long-lasting hiatus. He's finally made his way back to the Imperium Insider. Welcome back, Doopsums.
Oh,
look at Doopsums.
I feel like you're really playing Overwatch. I hear it.
He's really playing Overwatch.
No, I'm not playing Overwatch.
Okay.
I'm not playing. No, if I was playing Overwatch, you'd hear my keyboard going off. It'd be pretty bad.
And then next two, Doopsums. First time on the Insider, first time on the webcam in general. Sir Belial.
Hey guys.
The man with the voice that he doesn't want to use to be the voice of Imperium.
We got somebody else for that.
We got somebody for that, I think, which is cool. Maybe. I don't approve that shit, so I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're talking about, honestly.
And then just yourself right now?
I'm talking to myself right now. I do it all the time. You know, somebody told me that people that talk to themselves, that's actually a sign of extreme intelligence and ultra high IQ. And people talk to themselves, even in the middle of a conversation. I'll have a conversation. I can multitask, which is why I'm here, actually. So with that, just below Belial's balls is Switch. Hi, Switch. You know Switch. We've seen Switch before. Switch is the guy that when you're talking to him, he consistently says, "What?"
Do another thing. Yeah.
He's a busy guy. He's a busy guy. We keep him busy. And then this is very interesting because this is the first time that we've done a couples session with XLB and Space Moose. And hi guys. Welcome to the Insider.
So everybody can clarify, Space Moose is here with his beautiful face, and I'm XLB.
XLB stands for?
X-Lord Belmont.
Or extra large bitch.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
All right, I'm going with that one. We got that one. So, today we are here to discuss what? The floor is to Astia.
Imperium Game Nights.
What's that?
Plural.
What is it?
Yes.
We play games. But actually, we play exclusively Star Citizen.
Oh!
So, yeah. Typically, we just play all the game modes, and we make up a couple game modes. And so far, we've had a lot of fun. That's basically all we're doing.
So far by the first game night, you mean? Yeah.
Well, I guess with that, there's some clarification that might be necessary for that. We've done this in the past. We've actually attempted game nights in the past. But, in my opinion, because there was no motivated individuals specifically in charge of game night, they didn't actually continue for a long duration of time. With that being said, now we might have someone that's motivated to do that, maybe.
Yeah, Switch.
Well, maybe.
Who would that be? Not, might have to give a name there, because
Mystery.
I don't know, Belial.
Belial's too modest to.
Yeah, no, it's because I don't want to do
accept
it.
any
But
praise.
it'll happen. It'll happen. So yeah, right now, I guess we'll break into it this way. Yeah, right now, I'm pretty much in charge of bringing you guys game night. So all you who are watching it and took part last one.
The last one was really
Belmont
good.
down there, in Space Moose.
In fact, it's a staff pick right now.
Yeah, like 56. Yeah, growing up there. Yeah, staff pick by CIG. Super popular, one of the most popular posts on Star Citizen base. So I think it turned out pretty all right. And
Yeah.
we're still.
I
Starting along in once a
participated in
month.
the last one. It was a hell of fun. It was pretty ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. Why don't we talk about the last one a little bit? Why don't we talk about like what? I mean, I only gave a
I
small.
think we should start at the beginning with the genesis of it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to
Why?
say was,
Okay.
why are we doing this? Where did the concept come from, and where do we plan on taking this? Are probably the three pillars of what game night has to offer, right?
So,
Doopsums, your turn.
Yeah.
Well, in the be-
this is perfect.
Well, you hit on it earlier, Gentile, with the game nights fizzling out in the past. And one of the first things that me and Bilal did is we had to first identify why it didn't work in the past. And obviously, like you said, one of them was not having proper people in place, leadership, or people that really took it by the reins. That was one of the identifying issues that we had. Some of the other ones included things like we were doing them too frequently. I think like the older arena commander nights were roughly, I think like twice a week. One during the European hours, one during the Americas, and it got to a point where it was just too much upkeep. And then maybe the first couple weeks they were really packed and solid, had a lot of fun, and they just kept fizzling out. The third thing that we noticed too is that on top of someone heading it up, it also needed a larger focus from the leadership positions of Imperium, and not just FC or officers, but also specialists too to help support it. It kind of had to be an all-in thing. So that's basically one of the reasons why. And lastly, the other big reason why is obviously Star Citizen in general is buggy and activity is low. However, the one reason that we're all on the Skype call and everybody's in Imperium is for that game. So other game nights for other games only appeal to certain types of players, and this is really the only true aspect that brings everybody together. So with all that being said, that's one of the first things that we did is first we wanted to decide on how often it was going to happen, which is why we came up with only happening once a month. It gives us time to prepare. Like Bilal can go into a little bit later with his custom scenarios. That's was basically the genesis of how it started going, and we wanted to give an outlet for not only having a place for people or a time of day to look forward to for the org, but also it's a great identifier for people who take on more responsibilities, better pilots. It'll help with training. We can start actually practicing some of the concepts later on in the future, like with the mission system that we have planned. We can start learning about the academy and the roles that are involved with certain missions. So there's a lot of benefits to it. And obviously, like one thing that happened out of the blue was the staff pick, which just gives us more notoriety and publicity, which is awesome.
Oh,
And
is
then-
that it?
Period.
I think
Period.
Well, was there a specific plan or hierarchy or anything as far as roles go, depending on fleet command versus officers versus specialists, or is it just a shared responsibility across the board, and at that point nobody is really anything more than somebody that has to contribute time?
Well, the officers are responsible for their specialists, right? So it starts with FC buying in first, and because then FC holds the officers accountable, and then the officers hold the specialists accountable. So from the leadership point of view, it had to get accepted from the top and then funnel down. That being said, the officers I believe are really the ones who really pushed it. Their participation was key because, like I said, one of the things that happened in the past is when we did like the arena commander nights, it was just the military guys. So there's only 3 of them, and for 2 nights a week, only having 3 guys to host it, we didn't have the coverage to do it. So with the officers being around, there's cliques all over in Imperium as far as the teams we can hear comfortable with, and all the officers branch into different areas. So the idea is with all the officer spread that they have is that you can bring those cliques together for that one game night, and I had to start with the officers.
Yeah.
And then the officers hold the specialists responsible too. Like, hey, if you can't, you got to make sure you make it.
Yeah, from the FC perspective too, like we wanted everyone to be involved, obviously, right? Because the main issue that we saw too, from like a very macro sense, was we want more people to be able to step up, right, and step forward into positions of usability, like make yourself available and we'll find something for you to do. We're not we're not the other way. Like it's not. If we can use you, we will. Right? If you have the skill, or doesn't even have to be a skill per se. Right? If you're usable, we'll try and use those people. And so we're looking for people to do that. And we, like, for example, like what Dupes was just saying, with just 3 guys running from the military, running the old flight nights, that left like no one. They didn't give them much to work with, right? And so we wanted to do something that would incorporate the entire group of Imperium members, right? And to support that, we wanted to just have everyone support it, right, for now, and then just grow that over time. And then we can have hopefully more people who say for future game nights, hey, we were willing to help out, we're willing to do this, and we're willing to do that, and participate at a more involved level, and then kind of things start rolling from there. And so that's kind of a goal for us, to see growth in those areas as well. And we're already seeing that, so that's really, really good.
It's important to note too, like if you have that one, and part of the success of game nights, right? The first one was great. Unfortunately, I'm a huge hypocrite being on this call right now because I was not on it. But
Yep.
Is what it is. It is what it is.
Okay.
But
Great.
wow, fuck all you guys.
No, it's like creation. Yeah, I'm part of the creation.
You're wrong.
I'm happy
Keep
Dupes
going.
is here.
It's a good night.
But anyways, the other thing too that I think one of the things that it does very well is if you have that month ahead schedule where you know when that game night's going to happen and you know it's kind of a big event, somebody who just joins Imperium for the first time, they know like maybe the first time they want to hop on TeamSpeak is going to be on that game night. So instead of just hopping in TeamSpeak when nothing's going on, you kind of just have to insert yourself into a conversation, get to know people. This gives a lot of new members a way in, to start to interact with your with the org and start to hopefully learn from some people and find some people to play with.
On that note, I would like to just say publicly that if you are an Imperium member and you are watching, and don't know why you would be, but if you are watching this episode of The Insider because you have nothing better to do, TeamSpeak is a really open, honestly, it's a really open place where people are generally really flippin' cool, So if
Unless
you...
Ostia bans you.
Unless Ostia kicks you like he does me all the time. So abuse of power, it occurs, but not towards the members, mostly towards myself from Ostia, but that's a different story. You should maybe meander your way on over there and just say hi and get involved in some conversations. As long as you stay out of the politics and religion channel when I'm in there, you're probably safe. But other than that, it's pretty cool. So... Ostia has important fleet command business to take care of. You heard the cherries clicking away. So then the brainchild of the whole concept of the revamped game night came from where? Obviously, we covered on the fact that the previous game night wasn't structured properly, but what spurred the new structure, and where did the whole concept come from? Because it's different.
Well, I'll start with the motivation, then Bilal can take over. But we've had in the past, we've noticed from different orgs as well that a lot of orgs do have a lot of activity when it comes to the games, and we've actually lost some very good players from Imperium. And I did an exit interview with one of those members, and one of the things that they identified was a lack of visibility in the game from officer positions, as well as the fact that he'd hop on and he'd want to play, and there'd be nobody else to play with him. So we felt that was one of the areas that we were weak in. We may be great on structure, in terms of activity, in terms of on TeamSpeak and playing other games, but in terms of the activity of Star Citizen itself, it was lacking a little bit. As well as we had pilots who were playing actively, but they were kind of disconnected from the organization. So that's kind of where what the motivating factor was. One of them.
And as for why game nights, it's because we have a game. We're a game organization, and we want to play the same game together. And like Duke just said, the biggest issues were people just weren't. They just weren't playing together. They felt disconnected. They weren't part, as they felt, of a community. Even though there were plenty of other good pilots that they could definitely play with, they just didn't know them. There wasn't any avenues for them to meet up with each other. And so, obviously, the most obvious answer was a game night. Get people to play together. Try to make it an excellent experience for everyone as we can, and try to have it so there are enough people who are responsible in enough positions to where it's something that can occur over and over and over again and keep that extra experience occurring.
So then one thing to note about the current structure of game nights and the way we previously did it before, because Astia touched on it by saying flight night. And then that's what it was before. It was flight night. It was just whatever. There was no path to follow during that flight night. It was, hey, a bunch of people are going to jump in TeamSpeak and talk about what they're going to do, and then they're going to go do it, right? They had no structure to say, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. It just wasn't set up that way. And now it is completely freaking different. So where did that whole concept come from? Because the game night in itself, the way it stands, is really complicated. It's not just, everybody talks 5 hours before and then they all jump in TeamSpeak and they go fly in the persistent universe or whatever. It's a lot of, I see in the back end, a lot of thought and effort going into it. Where did all of this shit start and where is it going?
I guess it really came back from looking at past game nights, because you're right. Whenever you said that they were occurring once or twice a week, all you could do is really sign on, talk for a couple hours, decide what you want to do, and then play for a couple minutes, and that'd be it. So the reason why we're able to get so complicated and get so in depth and have a lot of preparation for this is because we decided to go with that once a month. And that alone give us, again, 3 to 4 to 5 weeks of preparation of getting people together to set up some, I think, truly epic, not done before up to this point, scenarios where players that have never done it before can come in, experience this 2 to 3 hour experience, and then move on. We have some more groups set up ready to go. So just switching that once a month, that was the biggest change, honestly. That allowed us to go into such new heights when it came to interacting with the community in this way.
That's one of Imperium's greatest strengths is preparation and planning. So when you give it, when we had that time, we were able to structure it out properly, which I wish CC Corp was on this call because he did a lot of work as well, helping to wrangle everything together. So shout out to him.
From the organizational standpoint of the whole thing, CC Corp was instrumental in getting a lot of things together. So you can't thank him enough. Now my question is, because these two gentlemen are just sitting here, nice and prim and proper and ready to jump forward.
I was thinking about how we're gonna lead them in.
What role? Well, first of all, how did you get involved, and what role do you both XLB and Space Move have in what has occurred and what is going to occur going forward?
They asked me to blow stuff up.
And you were like, hell yeah!
Hell yes.
I mean, that's how it started. I think it was around the end of September, Belial came to us and asked us if we wanted to help out with the revamp of this game night. And I think it was 3 weeks before the game night, we actually we did some planning, some ideas, how we're going to do these, this event, how we're going to script events. We all pitched in our ideas. There were several of us. And then after that, we actually got in, and a week before, we did some rehearsals, figured out, okay, what comm arrays need to be off, what needs to go into this, all these little things just to add to the experience. And even with, a live event, anything is going to happen. There's one group there in particular where it just completely went off the rails, and we had to make it up as we went. But it still was a lot of fun. Everybody enjoyed it. So, I mean, that's what happened there.
Well, referencing that last group of the previous game night, I'm actually really jealous that I wasn't part of that last group, because that one seemed like it was the most epic, because it ran through the scripted scenario and then got totally crazy at the end. I watched the footage and it was really, really freaking cool. So before we go into that, Switch, what in the hell are you doing here?
I do.
Besides searching Google
stuff,
for...
I'm here. I don't know.
You're involved in this game night coming up at some level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. Okay. Yeah, see, I thought I was just media stuff, and now we're helping host the next one. But it's pretty much what Sir Belial is doing. We're just going to help lead the group to do certain stuff, which I'm trying to figure out the filter of not saying the things.
You can't say anything.
Mess it up.
No,
that's
you didn't say
that's why I'm
anything.
trying not to say anything.
But
Let's
you're
put it
part
on
of
last
the
game night, because this coming game night is still secret, so that it stays fun.
Exactly.
right. But you're part. Are you part of the planning group? Are you part of the action party? Are you part of?
Not planning, just hosting pretty much. But the op four. Okay, I guess I can say that. Yeah. There's. I don't know what I can and cannot say without messing things up, so that's
I
fine.
think we should.
Yeah, but you're the editor, so you can cut it all out.
The game night.
I can define what he's doing here. So
There's
one
a
of
lot
the things.
shenanigans going on from what I saw.
So one of the things that's going to be pretty much instrumental in a lot of the coming game nights is the fact that we're trying to get units involved. So all you guys that are part of units that want to get more active in Imperium is what part you should listen to. So every month we want to try to get at least 1 or 2 units, preferably from different time zones, but sometimes it doesn't work out, to come in and act as a critical part of the custom events. Last month we had the unit Cerberus, which they acted as the pirates, moving from scene to scene, get everything set up, making sure there were no outside forces involving in every single part of the PU that everyone went to. And it would turn out to be an excellent event. And this month, we're going to have Cerberus and Critical Mass, who are going to be acting in a similar fashion, but like Switch was trying to say, we can't really say too much because a lot of it is going to be based on surprise and seeing how well a lot of people who want to take part in the custom events act in a completely unknown situation.
We're kind of treating it like they're custom scenarios developed mostly by you, Belial, right, and your team.
Yeah, pretty much.
Actually, just wondering. You can cut this part out if you want, but if this doesn't get released, for like we haven't released the last Insider that you just recorded with the guys who are at CitizenCon, but if this one doesn't get released for 1 week, then the game night's already over. So it's up to you guys. We can openly talk about this, most more than likely.
You know, that's a
Because
good point, because we can just
It's
release it
kinda-
after the game night occurs, so you can actually go into detail on what you're talking about, and we can delay the release of it until the day after game night.
True that.
Shit. Okay.
All right, then
All
I'll
right.
fucking lay it out. So,
Before you do that, let's discuss what happened in October's game night. So that was, I was able to participate in that custom scenario. I also acted as a lobby host. So let's start there. If someone is coming into game night for the first time as a participant, not a administrator or whatever you want to call it, they want to do, what exactly do they want to do?
first off, they want to check in at the landing channel, which anyone that's on TeamSpeak can take a look at. And we had, and we will continue to have 2 hosts from the officers and specialists that will be available. One will be landing channel, the other will be roaming around doing whatever he needs to do. And the first thing we're going to do is check in with them and see what's going down. If there are any groups that are going on in specific channels, like racing, battle royale, arena commander, any of those, or if there's a group that's about to form for the custom events. Now, last month we only had a custom events every 1 or 2 hours, so you want to check in with your host to see if their group is being formed. But for this one, there won't be too much issue. But that would be the first thing to do, would be check in landing channel, talk with the host that's there.
And then from there, the host responsibility is to pretty much, because I played that role, is to find something for people to do. Gauge their interest, engage them in a conversation, figure out where they want to be, and then facilitate getting them where they want to be within the game. Whether it be doing some Vandal Swarm co-op or a racing, or just going in the PU and trying to do the Comrade missions or what have you. It makes no difference. Just getting groups together of like-minded individuals to get out there and go play as a group and interact with different members within Imperium. So that part was relatively easy for some of us, and then some of us maybe not so much on the first game night. But I think that going forward, that as these roles get more defined and clarified and more practice is put into them, and we come up with a better talk track in order to instruct the hosts on how to handle their role, then that should become a more fluid thing over time. And hopefully after the first of the year, because we'll probably have a couple more of these before the first of the year, or actually no, we'll probably have one more of these before the first of the year if we do one in December, then we'll be rolling. And then if Star Marine comes out and everything, then your whole fucking ball of wax unravels, and you have to rethink everything and come up with new ideas and everything. So, aside from the basic game modes that are available in Star Citizen at this point, then how and what did you do to make Star Citizen engaging? You said I don't recall the exact term that you used to describe the custom scenario, but
So, pretty much what we did is we wrote a story. We wrote a story of something that we thought we would like to do eventually in game, something that we thought would be realistic, that anyone player could experience. So that story pretty much went off as a group of players, the participants coming in, and we tried to get about 7 to 8 of them in the same server, and we also had about 6 to 8 OP4 acting as pirates in the same server as well. So for some of the groups that went very well, we had about 14 to 16 players in there, half of them acting as participants, the other acting as basically cast on a stage. So what we did is we wrote the story, and the story went about as all the participants were mercenaries hired out by a VIP, a merchant, through me, and he was basically abducted by a pirate gang in the area, and their job was to go scare him off, retrieve him, and do anything he asked them to. And once they did, they would go to the area in the Yale asteroid belt where he was at, and we had scripted this all beforehand. All the OP4 who were generally some better pilots were, as you put it in Juntao, sandbagging pretty hard. So they were supposed to be running off and missing shots, which turned out okay. No one died in that round. And after they retrieved the VIP would tell them, okay, I need you to go to Korea, kill out the rest of the pirate gang, and then we'll see if we can't secure some cargo. Participants would agree. We'd all jump over to Korea, clear out. Again, the pirates would be sandbagging quite a bit. They would die on purpose, take their ships and move to the next scene. Once we had retrieved any sort of information, any cargo, the VIP would then say that he'll offer a bonus to anyone that will go with him to where his convoy was attacked by that pirate gang and retrieve any found cargo. And again, everyone would agree because they don't want to stop the custom event there. So we all got back inside our ships, headed out, went to use the ICC Probe 849, which is the start of the ICC mission line for you guys who play PU. Went to the first area, and then went to another designated spot. Everyone went outside their ships, except for a couple escorts, to try to retrieve any cargo, and then they got betrayed by the VIP. He would shoot anyone that he could see, and about 6 to 8 pirates who were outside of their ships would get inside their ships, and all the escorts would then see all their sensors flooded with contacts that were only a couple hundred meters away.
Which I could tell you sucked. It sucked.
It was so much fun.
It was so much fun for you guys because they were like, well, Juntao appears to be the only one that knows how to load a ship out, so we kill him first. So within like 3 seconds, I was dead. I didn't even know. I heard bullets and my ship blew up. It was crazy. It was just crazy.
You kind of did that on purpose.
I get that. But I'm not the greatest pilot in the game, so you guys could have played with me for a little while. But instead, they decided just to own face, and I was space dust. So
Primary target.
You were told not to hold back at that point.
that's
so
what I gathered, right? So
Yeah. And that was that. And some of it went on pretty much on track. A lot of groups went right down the script, pretty much okay. No issues there. The last group, like I mentioned earlier, had a much better time, I would say. They got to experience fighting off some extra pirate groups because there were a band about 3 or 4 guys from Operation Pitchfork that were in the same instance that were trying to gank anybody they saw. So we got to fight them off a couple times until the very end, where we decided we would end game night on a fantastic note of getting as many Imperium members as possible in the same instance and go attack 3 guys flying around Korea, which we did. We end up having, I think, 19 Imperium members at the most whenever we jumped in.
Seems fair.
Totally fair.
No.
19 versus 3, easy.
It was 5.
yeah, but if you think about that, when that extrapolates out into the game proper, that's the way it's going to be.
It was great.
Peace through superior firepower, baby.
How long is the Zerg Swarm?
That was probably the most fun in Star Citizen I ever had. That last scenario when we all start sending the groups in waves towards Korea, and of course, my biggest fear was people flying around and then crashing into each other. And for the most part, we we don't quite know everyone that's in the group, and another fear was we'd start shooting each other. That would be cataclysmic. Or people would, fly around, start hitting each other, and then you see like balls of flame soaring across the night sky, and that would be horrible. But none of that happened. Everything that could have gone wrong did not go wrong. The server didn't crash. We got some great footage of these fighters just dogfighting. You see this firewall just lighting up the entire screen, and it's like I said, that was probably my favorite moment in Star Citizen right there.
I watched the
chaotic,
footage. It was pretty
not
epic.
on script, and it was great.
See, so if you
It was
missed it, you
awesome.
could see the enthusiasm of the participants. So it's obviously something that you would most likely want to get involved in, especially if you're preparing for Star Citizen.
And on top of that plug, we mentioned it already, but in the staff picks was a video that Switch put together. It's about 3 minutes long.
3.
Yeah, of the event, and it's voiced over by Belial, who's explaining the event and how it's supposed to work, and yeah, it's a really good, basically, rundown of what happened on that night, and we're gonna try and do little tiny things, videos like that for these events, just to show off what we did and what we've been doing, because we want people to see that we're putting forth an effort, not just to play the game, because the game in its current state it's pretty fun for like a little bit, but it's not really in a state where it's super exciting and engaging, and it definitely doesn't incite me personally to want to play for long periods of time, like very regularly. So by creating our own game modes and putting forth the effort to do that, it's much more fun for everyone involved. I think so.
No, it was brilliant to create your own content like that, because the story was actually really well put together. So kudos to you guys. I've said it in the thread, you guys deserve, unbelievable amounts of credit for coming up, being so creative and actually implementing and carrying out that plan, because that's the frickin' challenge right there. You can write it down on paper all day long, but when you go to put it into action, sometimes it works and sometimes it didn't. So you guys did a great job of implementation on that. Also, just to close out the October game night discussion, we did have a star guest appearance towards the end there on Correa's FPS motions.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Switch, you were part of that group. If you want to lead into that.
Stars kind of relative.
I mean, he was asking for cuddles. I mean, we just went to go like hang out with the guy, and So I mean, he was Anyways, but we had like
Dude, Thumbs is a bigger star. Let's be honest.
I mean, he is in Twitch, But no, we had both Op4 and like the other guys. We had both the groups going out there. That was fun. He went. I think we had 3 fights against him.
Yeah, to give some context, we're talking about WTFosaurus, in case anyone there can contact him. You unfortunately made the unlucky choice of going to a server where we had about 14 of us already in the same instance doing these custom events. So whenever you started talking smack inside chat, we decided to join group forces. The pirates oversaw their differences and came together with the participants, and a good number of us decided to storm Korea, where you were a couple times. So thank you for the good event.
That was fun.
It was
Everyone did enjoy killing you. It was a highlight for everyone.
It was a highlight, honestly.
It
was pretty good.
Oh, that's too many. Like as we open the door, he's just like, oh, too many.
Panic.
That was pretty good.
Poor guy. It's like almost masochistic, like having to fight that amount of people by yourself and keep coming back.
Grenades soon.
Oh shit.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Man, that's gonna be amazing. Anyway,
14 of us die to one guy. Then it's gonna be horrible.
If you're all cluttered like that, it's a good possibility.
everyone into the airlock.
20
Less
in.
spacing for everybody.
Yep. So then with that, carrying off of the success of the October game night, we move into the November game night. And then how does that play out?
So this past month's main inspiration came from a game probably a lot of people know called Trouble in Terrorist Town, or if they played Mafia or Town of Salem, a lot of those similar games, basically a murder mystery. And so I've managed to import similar game modes to a bunch of other games like Halo, Call of Duty, similar ones back in the years, and we're trying to do that now for Star Citizen. The best way to do that is to go find a sequestered spot, have another cool storyline, which I can get into here in a bit, and then cause a mass paranoia, and hopefully everyone kills each other as much as possible. So the story for this one is a little bit different than the last one. The players now are a skeleton crew assigned to 2 starfarers who are going to be escorted by a Constellation of Freelancer to go refuel and reman a organization combat convoy that pretty much got hit by an enemy corporation. Unfortunately, along the way, the Constellation of Freelancer, full of a bunch of dudes to bring some extra crew, blows up, and the Starfarer pilot, or both of them, decide that they enjoy money more and got paid off by an enemy organization to take over the fuel convoy. And they decide they don't want to have a hero, so they try to take out all the participants. But they die because they're following another Stormtrooper class. And now it's up to our participants to figure out what to do next. They radio up HQ, say, okay, all the pilots died. What's going on now? HQ will reply saying that the bribe money was split to 4 people total. 2 of them were the Starfare pilots, but there are 2 unnamed individuals who are still out to ruin the entire operation. And now it's up to those 8 participants to find out who the 2 of them are trying to fuck everyone else over. Now, this took actually a lot of setup, to be honest, to get it to this way. So what I had to do, if we want to talk about that now, was I had to do 2 groups. So we have 2 separate groups of Op4 as opposed to the first game month, which was just one solid group of Op4 trying to get in the same server. We have 2 of them this time. One of them is going to be unit volunteers from Cerberus and Critical Mass. And they're going to be acting as the Starfare pilots and Constellation pilot, as well as the HQ. That's going to be talking on the radio. It's going to be their job to basically lead the story, tell the story at the beginning, get the convoy to where it needs to be, and then try to betray one, and then die. And then hang out while the entire event plays out. But the other group, which was what I'm calling the Secret Op4, which are actually regular Imperium members. There was a link on the original announcement post for this month, where if you want to be Op4, you could sign up, and those people who signed up are acting as Op4, and nobody outside of myself knows who all of them are, or who will be who whenever each group starts up. So there are going to be 2 people that were seeded into every single group that are just regular Joes that no one has any idea that they're out to kill everybody. So that took quite a bit of prep, but hoping it was worth it since we're recording this into the future.
And the rehearsals have been successful?
I'd say a lot of game mechanics have been okay, but it's not my call on that. It's up to everyone else. Say you.
I thought they were.
I
I'm so
liked it.
confused if it went well. Like I still don't know.
I
To be
jumped
honest-
into TeamSpeak late, and all I heard was Switch defending himself, saying, "I killed the guy," and then someone else saying,
'Cause
"Yeah,
that's
you also
the
killed 3
point.
other people on accident."
No, I don't know.
So that happened. Switch decided the best solution to find out who the murderers are was to kill everybody
No.
and just check everyone's name off the list.
Fall died. One person died. There's 4 people, right? So Fall died, and murderers supposedly don't kill each other. So I mean, it's just logical. If I'm not the murderer, the other 2 guys are the murderers. It just made sense.
For everyone else, turns out Fall was one of them.
Sound
murderers.
logic.
So he was gambling with 4 other people's lives because he thought 2 of them.
other guys.
So,
It just made sense.
too.
To be
I don't know.
honest, I don't even know what
Yeah,
happened. I went and hid in the Jeffries tubes in the start.
I would have shot Asti
And-
if I saw him. Just
And
saying.
yeah, I know. So I was waiting in there because the only way in you'd have to crouch. I don't know. I think you had to crouch in there. So
No.
I was just waiting for someone to come in there and find then I shoot him in the face. But I came out and Switch already killed everyone.
I shot one guy.
Terrible.
So with that then,
Absolutely.
because I am not a participant of this event, I am hunting with my sons trying to get meat for the coming year. there clues to follow to understand who could be one of the betrayers, I guess?
Yep, there were a couple. One of the biggest ones that you will know is just process of elimination. So in the game right now, everyone has mobile glass, basically vision up, so you can see a little dot next to where people are as well as the name popping off. Now, Starfares are pretty big, but they're still small enough to where you can see individual dots moving around all the different levels. Now, if you're watching two dots and all of a sudden one of those dots disappears and the other starts running away, that could be a pretty big indicator, especially if you just heard some gunfire. The other one would be process simulation of seeing who is on TeamSpeak in the same channel as you. When someone dies, they get moved out, and you can just look to see who is still alive. You can only guess how many of them are murderers and how many are not, but it's still the best way to do about it. There is a final step to verify whether or not someone that died was a murderer, and that's to radio up HQ and ask, hey, this person that I just killed, did they receive a bribe? If you just get told yes or no, there you go. Now you know how many are left. But other than that, no. It's pretty much just going to be logic thinking, being aware of your surroundings.
When you say radio up HQ, does that mean like the dialogue happens in the chat, or is it actual in TeamSpeak?
It'll be in TeamSpeak. Okay. So prep-wise, one of the unit off-4s, the public off-4s that was piloting the Constellation of Freelancer, since they won't really have an active role up to that point in the story, and their voice really hasn't been heard, they'll be the ones acting as that radio HQ.
So I have a question. It's not really... Okay, anyway, I have a question. Since we had the event, whatever, last week or on the 19th, what was our incentive so that people wouldn't... Say, for example, my name was Switch, and I just decide I want to kill everyone right off the bat because I'm a crazy lunatic who's not a murderer. What kind of incentive do I have to not do that?
Well, it's perfectly okay to try to kill somebody because you saw them attack somebody else. Unfortunately, being super paranoid and murdering everybody on the crew is extremely frowned upon in professional business. So Supergas, the company that everyone's working for in lore, frowns upon that heavily, and you would no longer be contracted out for any future expeditions. Translates into, if you're a dick and you kill everybody because you just want to win, you ain't going to play no more that night.
Just saying. Fall died, and he was like right beside. I had reason.
And then you said you would murder Asta if you saw him.
I
yeah.
Like, someone died next to me. The next person I see, I'm just gonna walk around, and if you happen to run into my bullets, it's your fault.
If Fall died, it just makes sense, man. If you're near the dead guy's body, you probably shot him. And especially Ostia.
It's called deductive reasoning, right there.
Yeah.
You're closest to the dead body. You're the murderer.
So honestly, the non-sociopaths would probably bring it up to the rest of the crew that were still alive and say, "Hey, I think this guy's acting suspicious," as opposed to planning out how to murder every single individual.
Says the guy outside the Star Fair saying he's not. You said you weren't playing, then you just walk in and shoot me.
I was looking inside a window because you were shooting at me first too. Don't forget about that.
I don't remember that. I don't know. Probably.
I don't remember that.
Probably.
I was in a bloodlust. Everything went black, and I was just.
That explains a lot. Yeah.
Oh man.
I think it's important to point out too, like what we keep using the acronym OP4, and what that stands for is opposing force. So generally, and actually I think Nazareth coined it originally back in the day, but it's something that in the future going forward, the opposing force is generally the group that throws the wrench into the plans, so to speak. And a lot of times, in order to be that wrench, you generally need to know the game a little bit better and know how to pilot. So that's something too going forward. If for anybody out there that's watching this video that is improving and getting better, it's something that that opposing force concept will expand past this game nights too. At least from the military standpoint too, we'll be looking at how that can affect with Academy as far as training purposes go and setting up scenarios like the mission planning, which is kind of what Belial's doing right now. But more so, if, for instance, if we're practicing like an escort mission run, the opposing force may be 2 or 3 very good pilots who go in and their whole duty is to disrupt that convoy, right? And we can't. It just gives some. It'll hopefully give some members something to shoot for if they want to try to sign up for that, and it's something that we're always looking forward to.
And with that, growing the amount of people who want to participate in these game nights, I think we all kind of realize what 2.6 will bring for game nights. It's pretty obvious. Like, okay, just let's all play Star Marine and play the shit out of it because it's gonna be awesome, hopefully. But for 3.0, hopefully we can just we won't have to write so many convoluted stories. Hopefully there will be trading in 3.0. There will be some sense of economy or semblance of an economy. So hopefully we don't have to have a super gas has contracted you out to go run this mission. Hopefully we actually can just get contracts, take it from planet to planet, and then have an opposing force waiting there to hunt us down or whatever. It's much more simple. We can start doing our own real convoys, training like's been mentioned before. Defend the Starfarer, defend whatever the constellation.
Well, it would definitely take a lot less planning on the back end once more game mechanics are implemented. But I still think that the creativity of the creators are great. So.
But that goes into more that I guess the more serious aspect of the organization, which is training, right? Right now to be honest, the whole reason this whole thing came about too, a lot of it is because originally we had Belial and Dupsums working on flight academy videos to help people learn how to fly. And then when it really came down to it, we just thought, you know what, we don't have enough manpower to create as many videos as we wanted to create. So we kind of changed our focus to how can we bring more people into the game and get them excited about it? How can we wake everybody up and get the most out of our players, right?
And it's not that we didn't have the manpower. I mean, we're one of the largest organizations in Star Citizen, but it's more so that we were currently losing in the game of that manpower that we actually needed. And so what that game night does is it starts to attract some of those players back. I know Space Moose and XLB, they've been in Imperium for a long time, and they've been off and on as far as hopping on TeamSpeak or being a part of the organization as far as participating in the forums or getting to know somebody. And with the game night and the unit system and both of those things working together, I think it's something that it's great to see XLB on. I mean, I think without the unit system and without the game nights, XLB and Belmont or Space Moose probably wouldn't even be on this call right now. So it was a great way to bring those pilots back in, have them find their own place within the organization, and then not only just be comfortable, but also help the org improve. And that was one of the big goals of it, was to try to start to identify a lot of our pilots and a lot of the members that are out there who can help this organization grow.
Dupsums were the most condescending compliment of 2016.
I've already given them compliments and said they were good pilots. And on top of that,
well, I'll just reiterate what I have said before. And I don't know if I've said it publicly, and if not, this is the opportunity for me to do so. The game night and Imperium and all of this effort that goes into all this shit ain't about me. It certainly isn't about Ostia or Dupsums or any of the participants in this call. It's about the organization as a whole and its member base, because without the member base, then what good is all this shit? So the effort to go out and engage the community and say, we are here for you and we want to provide the tools that you need to enjoy the Star Citizen experience, is what Imperium is about. Obviously there are bigger goals for the end game that all still apply to the same concept, that it's about creating an environment for as many members as possible to enjoy in a bigger game than just flying cargo from point A to point B or hunting AI pirates or what have you. So on the back end, that is absolutely what all of this shit is about, is to get the community engaged. And with that comes the benefits of identifying the top quality pilots, identifying new leaders, identifying anybody that can help contribute to the goal, which is to provide a great game experience for anybody who wishes to associate themselves with Imperium. Does that sound relatively accurate?
Yeah.
It helps us
great
iron
speech.
out. It helps us iron out processes too. I mean, as an organization, with the help of everybody, we can start to figure out things together. We can start to figure out how we're going to get our communications working in TeamSpeak with different groups. We can start to figure out what kind of training is actually worthwhile for the academy. We can actually even maybe incorporate later on down the road, like with game nights, because it's a consistent basis. Maybe even working the academy into where we can actually give an opportunity or have a play slot available for people to acquire their certifications that day or work with an instructor. So there's a lot of benefits to this game night, and there's really no reason you shouldn't be a part of it.
Well, to dovetail off of what Dupes is saying right there, at this current moment, there are actually flight instructors that are relatively good pilots that understand the game mechanics as they stand, and they are changing. And I think with the flight model changes, if you choose to want to better yourself as a pilot, then the guys are there. Folks like Cincinnatus is always, not always, but relatively speaking, he's always available. If you communicate with Cincinnatus and say, hey, can you maybe show me some tricks?
Next LB are great instructors too.
Your mic's up.
Mike, we're not official flight instructors, but Moose and I are always willing to help out anybody that wants to learn and get better. 'Cause, that's what this organization's all about, is, getting together and, succeeding.
So with that, since you decided that you could speak again, going off of what Dupe said about you guys were kind of disconnected there for a moment. You were in, you were out. You were still part of the org, and you were still playing the game, but you were doing it like at a distance from the organization because for whatever reason it's pretty irrelevant. But the question I have is, are you happy with where you're at and what Imperium is offering for you now, more so than before?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely.
Of course.
At this point, it's just the game needs to come out.
Right. The only thing that I would ask of other people in the org, I would actually ask that people get a little bit more time in Arena Commander. I know sometimes it's not so fun to play. It can be buggy. There's crashes. A lot of times you get into these matches and you have these other pilots that will just stomp all over you, and it seems horrible. And whenever that happens, it's not as fun. But I'd like to see people get in squad battle or battle royale more, as opposed to PU, which, of course, like getting on the PU is fun. Vandal Swarm is fun. But like I said, I'd like to see more squadron battle, more battle royale. The more that we are able to fly with other pilots, that makes the org stronger. That makes us stronger. When these other pilots who don't play as much, when they get better, they start flying against us. Now it's a challenge to us. And when we're challenged, at least for me, I know Belmont as well, but we're entertained. And we're always trying to get better. And I know we harp on each other to get on free flight, and as well as battle royale and squadron battle, go on free flight as well. Just 1v1s or little tiny squad battles. But that's what I would like to see more on a personal level. I know Arena Commander can be, what's the word? It can be intimidating at first. I know, barring some people on this channel, you first get in, you get your ass kicked, and then you want to quit. I would say keep getting at it, get your ass kicked a few times. Eventually, you'll start to pick up on what these other better pilots are doing, and then you'll start incorporating that into your own strategy. And sooner or later, you'll find yourself going toe-to-toe against these better pilots, and it'll be a lot more entertaining for you, a lot more engaging. That's why we kept on coming back after the new patch. You want to get in, try things out, and then we get competitive again. And then the patch gets boring because there's, unfortunately, no more things to do, and then you kindly sulk back into the other games that we go to play.
Sounds like me.
Yeah, sounds like me too.
Sounds like me. You're
just that first part, going into games and getting smashed, and then quitting because you're pissed and triggered, and all that. Oh my lord! And then you spawn and your helmet's like just slightly outside of your face, so you can't see anything. Then you get blown up again a few more times.
Or the people sitting in your lap.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great bug, by the way. I love that bug when there's two people in the same cockpit, and they're always for some reason in front of you
on your team, and they're sitting in your lap, and it's like, oh crap. And then you gotta wait. You gotta ask, hey man, can you eject me, please? And you're like, oh, let me get this kill first, and then you have to wait 5 minutes for them to get the kill, and then they finally eject, or they crash an asteroid. That's the most horrible bug.
Unfortunately, I think that there's a huge segment of the community that's waiting for some more stable game mechanics to come online. I know one of the big things is, especially in the PU, is some sort of better grouping mechanic. So, and identifying friendly targets versus non-friendly targets, or people that are in your party when you're flying a ship. Those kind of things, those are some of the things that really agitate me personally. So, plus I'm lazy. So, and I'm like Ostius bitch, so I got to do all kinds of other shit. So,
No one here's my bitch.
That's
except for Switch.
Me and Switch, yeah, we both feel it.
Except for Switch. No.
So, with that, is there anything else that you gentlemen would like to cover as far as game nights go?
Get on
I could say.
those explosions.
Explosions.
If you have
are
any
awesome.
good ideas for the game night, if you have any thoughts or think someone would be fun to play out, please contact Lyle. If you're part of a unit and you think that your unit would like to host or help host a game night, please contact Sir Lyle. If you would like to help out at the next event, whether that is as a host, as Op4, or if you'd like to donate game packages or gift cards or whatever for the giveaways, please contact Sir Lyle.
That's about right. If you have any complaints, any stuff that went wrong, just PM Switch. All of them.
Yeah, let's go. I thought you had a document for that.
Just PM individually. If you could actually separate your message into 2 PMs separate, and
You
just
know
send
what?
it
I
both
won't
to
mind.
Tim.
I would appreciate it. Yeah. No,
Well, I have a question for Belial and Dupsums. Since you two were the masterminds is a shitty word because I don't actually mean it, but I'll use it anyway. Behind the restructuring of the game night, and I know that Dupsums had his life kind of rescheduled around real life. Is he now stepping into more an administrative role of the game night yet, or not just yet?
I will be. This game night, I'll be present hosting for, I think, at the beginning of it a little bit and at the end, because I do have to work that day. But I'll be helping on the administrative side for the following game night going forward.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that yet. The game nights are not just like a 4 or 5 hour period. They're the whole day. So, well, it's like a 12-hour period, 13-hour
so-
period.
1600
yeah,
to
let's-
04 UTC.
Yeah.
16 to 04.
So pretty much everyone from any time zone can find time with notice. So yeah, I do enjoy that because you see everybody. So we're looking for growth. So last time we had 65 players come around for the game night, and so we tried to do a little bit better for this coming month in terms of getting the word out there and spreading it by word of mouth, by notifying Imperium members on the forums, by pinging them and alerting them to the thread itself. And yeah, so we'll see what the turnout's like. Hopefully they had a good time last time, and so everyone will be a returning member who was a game night number 1. And people who are just coming for the first time, hopefully they'll really enjoy number 2. And enjoy it enough so that when we host the third one, like right in the middle of December, when everyone's going to be traveling, we can have somewhat a decent turnout.
That makes
It's
sense.
open.
I wanted to pose, Gentile, since the game night has happened and you're one of the officers in diplomacy, Has there been any organizations that have reached out to you or any other diplomats saying maybe how they wanted to participate or be a part of it,
Not
or
yet.
heard about it or anything? Maybe that's something that we can look at going forward. Is getting
As
Maybe
it
those
relates,
diplomacy guys could do something.
as it
Okay.
relates
The
to the
diplomacy
game
is-
night, it has not yet occurred that that anybody has reached out specifically for this game night. There has been discussions in the past, and I think that Belial, his squad, actually does some of that back end work of org v org type squadron battle stuff. But I don't think that it has hit anybody just yet. You got to remember, still in the state of the game that we're in, the participation rate of players is still extremely low for the amount of people that are actually interested in Star Citizen, which is, it's understandable, it's sad, but
it's important to keep that in perspective, because like when you actually think about where Imperium stands with its members and its activity, we're pretty up there as far as activity, if not one of the most active organizations right now. For our not only our size, but just in terms of activity in the back end that's going on. So.
oh, for sure.
Yeah,
But I agree
It may,
with.
even no matter how quiet it may seem, the grass is a lot greener here than it is in other places.
Well, we've had this discussion before, and I agree with Moose in the mindset that Arena Commander is really where the game lies. That's where everybody's judging everything. Belial and I have had this discussion before. You tend to see better pilots or more active people look at the leaderboards to gauge in the activity in an organization. And while that is relatively true in a sense, it is not everything that is going on. You can have an organization of a very small amount of people like Renegade Squadron that are always in Arena Commander. That's what they do. They live in there. So they dominate the leaderboards regularly. So it would be, I don't want to say a good marketing tool, but I don't know how else to phrase it, for Imperium members to figure out how to find the time to actually do that. Because, like, Dukes, you went through it. It's painful sometimes.
The idea is that we could have 4 Renegade Squadrons in the size of Imperium. You know, we can support that, but as it stands right now, with the sample size that it is, people can feel a little disconjointed in Imperium, and that's part of what this game night is there for, to start to bring people together, meet people that they can fly with, and hopefully get them on a more regular basis.
Absolutely.
In order to have those 4 dozen Renegade Squadrons, they would require people to put in a lot more time. And this isn't like to crap on anyone. I understand, you know, the game's, like we said earlier, buggy, but in order to have those top tier pilots, it requires a lot more hours that you've probably been previously putting in order to get to that skill level.
And credit where credit's due. I mean, like RS is like, they're all masochists, because who the hell would who can stand it, right? Like you're crashing all the time. Like it's the same game. Like you actually have to be a masochist to practice this game and to get good at it right now. So I mean, it's something CIG has to work on, because when a relatively small org can dominate leaderboards, that's just the state of the game. And because, I mean, credit where credit's due, but there's not that many people playing the game right now, you know, on like a regular basis.
It's difficult, but
Yeah.
it's an unfortunate necessity at the state of the game.
We're
because
talking about a game that's an alpha.
a pre-alpha
It's like
alpha.
pre-alpha, beta alpha. Yeah.
It has alphas within its alphas.
Yes.
So I mean, there's not much you can really say. You
And
know.
there are 4 states of alpha, actually, when you talk about frickin' Evocati, PTU Phase 1, PTU Phase 2, and Persistent Universe, and sometimes that
Not
all that
counting
shit's going...
eternal testing.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So, but the promise is really strong for Star Citizen. It looks really good. It looks like things are going to come together relatively the way that we have theory crafted, unfortunately.
Foreseen.
Yes. Well, the Emperor
foreseen.
has...
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? I wanted to change the subject a little bit and derail the whole conversation away from game night. And but I forgot
Can we
what
talk
I was
about
going to say.
Dupsum's beard?
Yeah, absolutely.
Show that baby off. Come on.
Or
Come
hide
on.
in there.
Everyone wants to see it, buddy.
Oh, there he goes.
Don't cover her up. Come up
Got a little
close.
patchy spot underneath
Come up
there.
close.
It's all right, buddy. You can see
I
it
think
from
he's
here.
like about 10 times more seriously with that thing on. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, but
So-
what? Speaking of beards, what was the deal with Switch? Remember the deal with Switch, the dude from the Three Musketeers? What was it?
Can you pull that
Yeah.
picture? I think I actually have a bookmark somewhere.
No, I have his.
What was the dude's name? I forgot.
Well, how Switch edited into
Switch,
his
Switch Daniel.
first camera
Switch
is?
Daniel.
Hold on.
D'Artagnan, that's right, D'Artagnan. He has the whole D'Artagnan thing going on. That's pretty hot.
Where is it? Game
Focus.
folder somewhere.
That's good stuff.
And then Space Moose, complete opposite end of the spectrum. Just absolutely clean. Like a baby.
You look like Kingpin from Daredevil. That's what I posted. Exactly like him.
Oh, man.
You need to handle broker all our deals in the back alleys. Screw everybody over.
True, he looks like Hitman. Agent 47.
Oh,
You know,
that's
no
good
one's
stuff.
going to appreciate this because no one can see this, but we'll have a
I've
switch.
already decided to cut it.
No, well, we're gonna edit it into the
No, you're not
center
cutting.
video when I
Alright.
start talking about it.
No?
Switch will
No?
Switch will cut this.
Okay, I'll have to add this into the. That's alright.
Is that's a picture of Dupe's on government nipples. Nice.
Absolutely terrible.
That's pretty rough right there. So
Well,
with that,
since
now
this is like literally the worst podcast ever now.
now that I have
No.
completely derailed the entire conversation, we will definitely move into closing this sucker out. So
Yeah.
I personally want to just say, thank you, Belial, and your group for taking the lead on this, because it's a big fucking deal. In the words of Joe Biden, it is a big fucking deal. So thank you. You guys are awesome. You and your entire team.
I'll just speak for him and say you're welcome. And I guess most of us have a pretty okay time doing it, if not all of us. So, yeah, I guess we're
I don't
having
know.
a good time.
XLB doesn't look very entertained, but that's okay.
I'm great.
Look straight pissed.
Motherfucker.
I'm sure since this is after the game has happened, we'll have a follow-up announcement post, probably with a cool video like we did for the first one. And we'll be sure to bring a list of names of all the people who spent time trying to organize and get set up and learning even a stream for Secret Op 4, so everyone can still watch the game as it unfolds. So if you want to thank them too, it'd be mucho appreciated.
Yeah, and on that note, thank you, Switch, for all the back end time you put into editing all this crap out and making these little trailers look so sexy, because it's definitely a lot of effort. And thank you, Dupesums, for not falling off the face of the motherfucking planet entirely.
Wow.
I'm still here.
That's
He's-
savage.
That's savage.
Poor guy.
And thank you, Astia, for providing all the intel on Dupesums. I appreciate that. That's good stuff. And XLB and Space Moose, thank you for participating. You guys are fucking epic. And I would just forewarn anybody, if you see them in the persistent universe, don't fucking engage them. Just don't do it, because you will not be happy with the result. I guarantee it. So maybe in Arena Commander it's a little bit different, but in the PU, Imperium's got some damn good pilots. It's ridiculous. So, anybody else want to say anything to the peoples before we get out of here? Other than,
Poor guy.
fuck you, Juntao.
His beard is so sick. Just makes me happy. No wonder
Look
he's got a
old, man.
girlfriend now.
Look
No
old.
wonder he's got a girlfriend. Probably grew that
Okay.
beard and got a girlfriend like 5 minutes. Jeez.
It tickles. It does its job.
It looks good, buddy.
That's great. Okay, say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.